Hey, guys, if you like this video, like, subscribe and turn on the notification for more contents. Hire Zeon is seen to be expressing his embarrassment at his failure to his hire in Darwin and Delstray, capital of Lustenad Kingdom. He requests another chance from his hire to capture their target that slipped away last time, but the hire responds that probation is better than failing again with those useless untrained troops because the king didn't even bother trying to punish them. This shocks Zeon as he failed to comply with the king's orders, and yet they were all forgiven. Nevertheless, he keeps determined to try again to capture the two sword hires he encountered that day. This infuriates Darwin, and he mocks Zeon to go ahead and reclaim the honor he is talking about losing. Zeon walks down the halls thinking with surety that they went to Kagan City due to the direction they went in, so he wonders the possible place they could go to while job hunting. Since they need money to survive, he is only one place where a free hire request for work. His aim hasn't been catching the Luskan blood but to make sure by himself whether the other guy was Sung Sihan or not, and that confusion is what's been driving him to what he mentioned as restoring his honor. A servant introduces Alita and Sihan as Alita and Sean to Lord while the two awkwardly discuss in the background why Sihan went with the name Sean, so if Alita accidentally refers to him as Sihan it won't cause an issue. The two awkwardly stand there while the servant explains how the two are fighters or warriors ranked sword hire. The 6 ranks of sword hires are explained as Seed rank, they can only use fighting energy to enhance their physical capabilities. Warrior rank, they can inculcate their fighting energy into their metal weapons. Knight rank, the hire who can diffuse their fighting energy in the armor they are wearing as well. Master rank, those who can instill their fighting energy in non-metal weapons as well. Transcendent ranked are those who can imbue their fighting energy in thin air to create a blade-like weapon effect of it. A deity rank sword hire is the most superior rank, which only a few have ever been able to achieve. They are the true masters of everything possible with fighting energy. Savior Sung Sihan was one of them. But all his fighting and magic energy had been used up in his dimensional travel. Sihan thinks of his rank being so lower in a tortured and embarrassed way. But Lord Ted seems to think otherwise. He is amazed that they have a fighter rank at this young age and welcomes them. They are told to rest until tomorrow when the subjugation squad leaves. In his room, Sihan sighs and drops himself to his bed, talking in exasperation about how it's tiring to earn money and that if it was back in time, he would have just stolen from some noble's house. Alita is surprised by this and questions why the legend used to steal. He tiredly responds that his girlfriend used to be a thief, but they had a sense of righteousness to it, and they only used to steal from bad nobles. Alita thinks dumbfounded how this would have been a dangerous love story between creatures of two different worlds. Sihan continues to mock ironically how stealing would be hard now, so yeah, they should go for some killing and blood splattering for righteous earning. Anita boringly says this could sound wrong to anyone else hearing it. Sihan, now focused, questions whether the request was for controlling some monster. Alita briefs him on how a pack of igneous wolves has been found in the Barcelon territory, but the last subjugation squad failed due to lacking numbers, which is why they are hiring sword hires now to deal with this matter. Sihan calmly replies that 13 years ago, his first experience was with these fire-spitting wolves as they were trying to get rid of them from the woods. He then gets memories of them praising him and calling themselves a team, which frustrates him. Sihan sits up, much more serious than before, and speaks that this would help him as a warm-up since he's already lost a lot of power. Alita is baffled at this and questions how is he saying that when he beat her using just a spoon and took care of the search party nights pretty easily too. Arrogant Savior Sihan gets offended at this and exclaims how it's a lot of weakness that he had to even use a spoon to beat her. Alita thinks that his way of saying that is pretty infuriating. Then Alita just confusedly listens to a Sihan, who definitely was assuring himself that even if his powers are less he still owns a lot of experience and he has been some champion in his world too, which again is an entirely foreign term to Alita, so Sihan shrugs it off and sends her off to sleep. In the morning, Knight Ted shows an exaggerated enthusiasm to win this time while other soldiers just question the heavy armor that might not be beneficial in this fight. On the move, Sihan inquires about Alita about her arm, who thanks him for using his energy to heal her arm. He and some other soldiers then vet alarmed over the smell of sulfur around them and see the red monstrous igneous wolves with fiery eyes and mouths dangerously advancing towards them. Ted overconfidently moves ahead and throws belittling remarks at the wolves, But he is taken down before he could even have the first strike. Sihan mocks how his armor caused him to get thrown by an attack he could have defended. Ted shouts back that a knight is supposed to fight with his armor. Others try and keep fighting, a little more confident with the backup of sword higher this time. Sihan finds fighting these wolves too easy for him and he knows he can take them all, but he decides against it to avoid attention, until everyone's shock and exclamations make him turn and face the leader of the pack. And of course, this brings an evil, interested grin to Sihan's face. All the soldiers start running like cowards seeing the leader Ignia, and even Ted just puts the burden on Alita and Sihan, and runs off towards his soldiers, to which Sihan reacts unamused. He then casually laughs at how they are supposed to take all the dangerous work in this job as if those two are not just facing a pack of fire-spitting wolves. Alita listens to him calmly till he asks her to face the leader while he finished up with the rest of the pack, to which Alita is taken aback and shocked, but she tries to compose herself and nervously goes with it. The leader spits his fire filled with his fighting energy, but Alita does not cower away and smoothly attacks the leader in the face. Sihan is impressed by her, but his praise and confidence in her are cut short when they both are stunned to see Alita's sword broken by that attack on the wolf's face. The leader wildly attacks Alita and grabs her with himself. Sihan is horrified at this and runs to her rescue. Sihan was not summoned by Lusclan's sacrifice like the last time, but by linking with a summoner that is Lusclan blood, which is the reason why Sihan wants Alita's company, to protect her, because if she dies, he'll be thrown back to Earth. A panicked Sihan tries to catch up to save a pained Alita with the Wilf, but he has a hard time doing so with his low fighting energy, and his energy that changes his resemblance. Sihan panics about how he spent 10 years to be back here and prepared himself to fall into the sky nude, which he finds important as compared to someone's life, so he is not ready to go back to this type of humiliation. This pumps him enough to gather enough energy to exhibit dragon sword energy. Even though the wolf is stunned when a powerful serious Sihan catches up to him, Sihan does not have a hard time ending the leader wolf. Sihan lies around exhausted around an unconscious Alita, thinking how taking it all casually almost cost him his entire migration to Terranor. Night falls by the time Alita gets conscious, and upon being questioned about her health by Sihan, she tells she's just sore because the wolf didn't seem to intend on killing her. However, Alita then gets embarrassed by almost being a wolf's meal. Alita ponders over something for a moment and then decides to question Sihan, considering then allies, about why he has been hiding his identity when the 6 kingdoms are ruled by his 6 friends, and he technically would be treated as a royal guest here. Sihan responds with a laugh at the last statement, but then gets serious about the explanation of the betrayal he faced. He goes on to tell Alita how they threw him back with return magic right away without an ounce of hesitation, as if they had this plan together all along. He reminisces the painful memory and explains how it still feels fresh in his head, yet he doesn't understand why they do that to him, and how could he not judge any of their true intentions. After an eerie silence, Sihan looks at Alita and wonders, confused why she is not giving a shocked reaction or any reaction at all to getting involved in a war with all 6 kingdoms. Suddenly Alita concludes that he came seeking revenge, so it's understandable why he's been hiding his identity. Sihan just looks at her bewildered for a moment and then exclaims why is she so calm about the fact that they'd be going against all kingdoms. Alita, calm as ever, replies that she has been in a war for 10 years with all the Terranor due to her identity, so if she's involved in this, she will make the best out of it. Sihan, dumbfounded, just tells her she is hopelessly positive, to which she happily laughs and says she receives the same compliment from her dad, but of course, she has to clear to dense Sihan that she's talking about Karen and not the tyrant monster. Sihan suddenly gets alarmed and warns Alita that someone is approaching them. Alita and Sihan get cautious of someone heading towards them, wondering if it's an enemy, which Sihan deems impossible this early, however, and they both stay alert for whoever it is. The person sees people and starts asking for help for directions from them, unaware of the shocked faces of Alita and Sean. It was the search team's leader Higher Zeon lost in the forest. Zeon mimics their expressions when he realizes who he is facing, but before he could say anything Alita attacks him. He barely escapes, and hurriedly says he's not intending to fight them. Zeon panics again when Sihan appears behind him out of nowhere, telling him he might be honest, but he gotta take him out again just in caution. Only this time, to Sihan's utter shock, Zeon breaks free from Sihan's attack. Sihan questions Zeon about how he knew to release from a skill that only Sihan mastered in from a young age, and even his friends didn't know how to release from it. Zeon starts shuffling through his bag with determination when Sihan gets alert and mad about what he's planning on getting out, but he is left speechless midway by what Zeon presents to him through both his hands' underwear. Sihan's face loses all color at that, and after a solid moment of judgment from both Sihan and Alita when Zeon asks Sihan if it belongs to him. Sihan looks coldly at a childishly smiling Zeon and asks Alita to kill the perv chillingly. Zeon, frightened, tries to explain that he didn't intend that to come out this way, but it was his nervousness that made him sound like a pervert. Sihan remains unbothered and offended, wanting him to die when Zeon, already looking like his soul left his body, shouts nervously that he surrenders. Zeon questions him, waving underwear instead of a white flag, still wanting Alita to kill him. But then Sihan's face pales as he notices his name on the boxers, and that too in Korean, his native language. Zeon calms at this and he excitedly announces that he knew it was the savior Sung Sihan. Sihan remembers his thousands transformation wasn't cast, so he questions Zeon whether he remembers his face. Zeon shyly introduces himself as someone Sihan saved 12 years ago in Varan village. This catches Sihan's attention as he doesn't seem to recall what Zeon has been mentioning. Zeon explains he was young back when Sihan defeated all the imperial soldiers invading their villages with this same skill, and Zeon later found out it was the otherworldly savior who saved them all. Zeon's eyes start getting big and shiny like a kid as he admiringly recalls how after being a sword hierarch he realized how this powerful skill was learned by his Sir Sihan, who did not intend to kill the opponent even if it's his enemy. Sihan nervously chuckles, thinking how that attack was only him testing his skill, but the impact turned out to be much better than his intention. Sihan suddenly questions that if Zeon is so much younger, why doesn't he look like it, to which Zeon brightly throws a cheesy phrase that one's appearance is only a shell, it's what's inside that actually matters. Sihan cringes as that, asking where in world did he learn that from, to which he gets to know those were his own words back then, embarrassing him to no end. Sihan then asks him he's got to stop waving the underwear in their faces now, and moving around with that even if he looks up to him sounds a bit extreme. But does that affect Zeon? No. Instead, he gets even more excited, talking about he literally has everything related to Sung Sihan with him, from mini statues, stuffed toys to stories about him. Sihan couldn't get more uncomfortable with that knowledge, only he does get more uncomfortable when Zeon explains that this underwear is most special since it was worn by Sihan when he defeated the tyrant. Zeon then gets serious, bowing down to Sihan, wanting to become his blade, explaining he only W9 for King Rilstein because he was once Sihan's companion. Sihan considers for a moment, then questions what if he is against Rilstein now, to which Zeon, without any hesitation, replies he'll still support Sihan. Seeing the determination in the eyes of Zeon, Sihan decides to believe him and take him in his alliance by accepting his sword. Zeon proudly stands up that he'd give his best and won't let him down. He also offers to take down the rest of the Igneous wolves, to which Sihan and Alita, who has been invisible since then, look at him baffled that it's already been taken care of, as you saw the body of the leader wolf. Zeon, confused himself, questions didn't they put it out to lure the female leader, as wolves always travel with their mates. Alita and Sihan realize indeed their minds missed this detail about wolves, and to perfectly time with this realization, the female leader graces the three with her might presence.